Nipawin held in the council chambers of the town office on January 26, 2026 at 7 p.m. This meeting is being held on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. We extend our gratitude to those who came before us and have called this ancestral land home for generations. We respect and honor the treaties, reaffirm our relationships with one another, and move forward together in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Call to order at 7 p.m. Now, prior to approving the agenda, I just want to put it on the record that congratulations, Councillor Neudorf, on your wedding.
Thank you.
All right. That the agenda for January 26, 2026 meeting be approved as amended and attached to form part of the said minutes. The amended part to include is communication item 12.3 Bay Bus Transportation Incorporated. Councillor Fast. Anything else from administration?
No, not from administration.
Anything from council? All right, all those in favor? That's carried. Declaration of conflict of interest. Any conflicts today? I have one conflict, item 7.1. And if you find you've missed anything in the meantime, let us know when we get to it. That the minutes of January 12th, 2026 regular meeting of council and the minutes of January 12th, 2026 special meeting of council be approved as presented. Councillor Vic, everybody's had a chance to review the minutes. Any issues, concerns? All right, all those in favor? That's carried. That the RCMP report for the month of December 2025 be received and filed. Councillor Stewart. And with that, I'll turn it over to the corporal.
Sounds good, thank you. When you brought up the conflicts of interest, I was gonna say Kyle sent me here, so I'd be. Hopefully I can give as good presentation as he would normally do. He apologizes, but he had prior engagements, so he sent me out here to do this for him. So in the month of December, of course, lots of holidays in December, so we had enough policing staffing during the holiday season. We were doing lots of patrols, trying to deter crime and do a lot of proactiveness. Within the detachment area of Nipawin and Smeaton, we took 628 new investigational calls during that month. And like always, we run through the fiscal year, so you know it doesn't end on our new policies and priorities for 2025 will still continue till April. So we're still focusing on prolific offenders, curfew checks, proactive patrols, back lane or back alley patrols. We try to attend as much meetings and extracurricular stuff through the schools and that kind of stuff. So we're still pretty dedicated with the staffings that we have to do all this extracurricular stuff on top of maintaining our investigations and charges laid for the month there. So I can't give you a full total amount of how many charges we've laid. But again, just like it says here, typically not every incident or every call that we get leads to a charge or anything like that that goes to court. We have had a few good files that are going through court, some drug trafficking and stuff like that at a White Fox that are presently going through court. So we're hopefully with the amount of work that we put in that we get a good outcome from that, depending on the judges and defense and our crown attorneys. So there's some really good work coming out of the detachment. Lots of warrants. We're getting a lot of frauds, elderly fraud. People saying they're getting, winning $1 million and then having to pay. So one of the stuff that we like to push forward is, and these guys are smart, like they're getting local numbers 90% of the time is from people from out of the country. So once these frauds occur, it's really hard to get money back, especially if they're going to PA and putting it through Bitcoin. Um, the new fraud is, yeah, sending it through Bitcoin, and once it goes through there, it's very hard to track. Because they use a lot of numbers, and a lot of the times the money's getting moved quicker than by the time that we get our judicial authorizations to go through. Before it was gift cards, but now they've kind of smartened up, and now with all the online stuff and stuff, but they are targeting the elderly, and we're getting a lot of calls with people losing a lot of money. So just when you talk to your constituents and stuff, just if you think it's the bank calling, call the bank yourself or go inside and talk to them. We just had one recently that we're investigating, and said that he won $1 million, and then they started setting some threats and that kind of stuff, and we reiterate to this person to go in and just talk to your bank, but he believed that, or they believe that they had money in their account, and it's just, they're getting very smart with AI and stuff, like you can, we also had one that we investigated where someone swore it was their granddaughter, right, asking for money. And with AI and stuff like that, it's getting very, very hard to decipher. So that's just one of the things that I'd like to push forward, is when you talk to people, or if people have concerns with that, we're trying to do a little bit of education when people call. Just to go, like, this is the things to look for. It was no different than, you can't really go buy gift cards anymore, right? Usually the teller will go like, who are these for? What are they for? Kind of thing, right? And it's sad that they're taking advantage of the people that work their whole lives and that kind of stuff. And there's some lover scams and that kind of stuff. So it's just getting more prevalent with technology and that kind of stuff. So it's just something that I'd like to push forward, if things, and if we need to put in a little bit of education or something like that, like that's something that we could do as well, permitting our staffing shortages and that kind of stuff. But I definitely don't like to see people that take advantage and it's not small bits of money, it's thousands and thousands of dollars for that. So 2 constables coming forward in summertime, so that'll take up 2 of the 4 vacancies that we have. And also Smeaton Detachment, what we're trying to do is we're becoming a hub for some of the northern detachments to train cadets. So essentially, they're not on our payroll, but they'll be here for 6 months to help out. So that puts an extra body on the street as well. So that's something that, because a lot of these places up north are really hurting for membership, and they're trying to, and there's no trainers up there. So we set up the detachment in Smeaton to house a member for 6 months, so that at least we'll have an extra person. And it's not on the books, it's just someone there. They're getting paid by the other detachment, but they're getting trained here. So that puts us up, an extra member for extra patrols and that kind of stuff. So yeah, other than that, do you guys have any questions or anything like that, or?
Go ahead, Les.
I have a question about the fraud situation. Do you find a lot of them are online, computer based, or they're telephone based, or there's a mix of all? I mean, we get a lot of calls with fraud calls.
Yeah, they call it attachment too. And we just kind of like, so the best thing to do to tell people is, as the police, we will never, if you owe somebody money, we're not coming to arrest you. There's no arrest warrants. And they try to use that fear factor to try and get them to either pay for some stuff or anything like that. Banks have said that they'll never ask money. CRA will never ask for money, right? You have to go through their portal to do that, or go to a bank and do a secure money kind of thing. So I think it's just education. We get a lot of phone calls, like there's a lot of phone ones that happen. There are some online gambling ones. And I think it's just the familiarity of, internet use and giving out information and kind of what like the police will do. So a lot of people give their information thinking there's an arrest warrant. And if you talk to people, just tell them you can call the office at any time and we can confirm whether or not they have a warrant, right? And but again, like some of these numbers are coming from Regina, they're coming from Saskatoon, right? Or they'll even they just have little scammer burner things on the internet, and it could put the bank on there, right? And it's just they're getting I wish they put their stuff to better use, but they're getting smarter on how to scam people.
Well, sometimes the phone numbers are a local number.
They're local numbers, yeah, yeah, and we get them too, and I find that if you answer and you don't say anything, usually they hang up. But they are targeting elderly people or people that don't really understand kind of what's going on, and again, for every probably, I'm just throwing this number out, it's not really a technical number, but probably for every 500 people, they get one, right? So, just, all they have to do is just numbers, just bought phones and bought stuff, so it's just trying to educate people so they don't lose, like, we've had people lose $60,000, right? And that's, it could be life savings for people, and a lot of times we can't get that money back. It's already gone.
Go ahead, Joyce.
Just another note on the CRA emails has been taking up some of the time. And it looks pretty legit, but as soon as you see an amount, a dollar amount, refund or pay, or a link, it's fraud.
Yeah, because CRA will do their secure
Yeah.
portal, right? So you have to
Yeah.
go through secure portal for that. So, and then it'll hit a link and it'll go to a website that looks exactly like it,
Yeah,
right? They're getting very
and
sophisticated.
even the phone numbers.
Yeah, phone numbers, if there's any link,
Yeah.
I would go directly on the website yourself and don't click any links.
Or
anything like that.
Phone your account,
Yeah.
they can check it out.
Yeah,
And I have done that already this year.
yeah, we're just seeing an increase in the fraudulent calls and stuff, and it's, for us to be able to get bank accounts and that kind of stuff, we have to write production orders, which has to go through the Justice of the Peace. Then we have to send it to the bank then has to collect that information, then they have to get it, so that could take weeks before we even get that, like, data doesn't go away, right? Data is always there, so we can
Yeah.
always chase the account. But it doesn't mean that that's not a burner account, and it's been moved 6 times before that.
Yeah.
And as soon as it leaves the country, we do have some, with Interpol and that kind of stuff, but pretty much once it leaves the country, it's gone, right? So the Bitcoin internet-based stuff and, NFTs and all that kind of stuff, it gets really hard to chase it. And then pretty much we're just at a stalemate because we can only push so far into the bank where it went. And then from there, it's things. So just the education process is kind of what we're pushing. Just so people don't lose all their money and it's gonna get worse with AI. I've had people come to me and, they think Jake Paul is a Nipawin walking, right? Because he's on TikTok or whatever. And it's just, people are getting scammed. So it's just something we wanna kind of make aware of people and just educate them.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so all those in favor? That's carried. All right. I'm just going to excuse myself.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not sure you can see me back there okay, but welcome to Monday night council meeting, and nice to see a large delegation out there. A few ground rules, I guess, for the lack of a better term. I'm assuming that you've designated a speaker, and we'll listen to that speaker, and we will provide 10 minutes worth of time. We're not here to debate anything. We're just here to listen to your concerns, and we will go from there. There is a letter that we will read, if you want us to read it, or if you want to read it, or,
Is it mine or Chris's?
sorry,
Is it mine or Chris's letter?
your letter.
You can read it if you'd like.
Okay, well, we'll read it after
I
you're done.
got plenty of reading to do.
Okay, so I think we're okay.
Yep.
You can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. Forgive me, I haven't public speaking since high school. Probably. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Keith Zeman, concerned Nipawin citizen, homeowner, and business owner. I stand before you in firm opposition to this council's recent decisions, approving a third cannabis dispensary and systematically dismantling the community safety guardrails recommended by the federal government upon legalization. As outlined in the Cannabis Act and SLG regulations, these guardrails exist to protect public health and safety, yet they have been cast aside here. I speak first as a business owner on behalf of myself, my wife, and numerous local businesses echoing this opposition. A petition has been organized urging council to revisit and reconsider the discretionary use application for the cannabis retail store at 348 First Avenue East. What follows is my view, shared by many Nipawin voting residents, grounded in fact and reasoned opinion, offered not to accuse, but to compel accountability. As a business owner operating immediately adjacent to this proposed site, I'm appalled by the recklessness of this decision. We learned of it only after approval, with no direct notification to adjacent businesses or renters, many with young children. Council fulfilled the bare legal minimum of notifying only property owners with scant time to respond, attend, or inform tenants. Had this similar effort been invested in making the public aware in the way you have with many other issues ranging from electric charging stations to snow removal, via Facebook or expanded mailings, you would have known the depth of the opposition. Instead, reliance on an obscure newspaper ad ensured minimal awareness. This community does not stand behind you. That failure of engagement is on you. At the January 12th meeting, as council claimed, there were no issues pertaining to adjacent businesses, and these stores have no effect on surrounding areas. That statement is demonstrably false, betraying a profound ignorance of cannabis laws, real-world impacts, and voices like ours. Watching that meeting on YouTube after the fact, it felt like a mere formality for a preordained outcome. The bylaw amendments enacted only after Into the Weeds targeted this exact location. Why bend the rules for one applicant if the decision was already made? Let me address the very real effects on adjacent businesses which some here seem determined to ignore. From loitering and break-ins to rampant vandalism, no cannabis store or its neighbors escape these crimes. SLGA and federal guidelines suggest and enforce distance requirements precisely because such sites attract criminal activity. Yet, you have dismissed this as non-existent and deemed that 90 steps from a daycare is now acceptable. Since no apparent investigation weighed whether this benefits Nipawin, allow me to present evidence for your and the public's consideration. First, the same proposal from Into the Weeds was rejected by Prince Albert. They denied it, citing an oversaturation with only 3 stores in that city, and the resolve not to repeat alcohol-related mistakes. In your meeting, you said if this was alcohol, we wouldn't even be speaking about it. Is this council short-sighted or blind to the issues facing this province and its communities? Saskatchewan grapples with one of Canada's highest drunk driving rates per capita, alcoholism, substance abuse, homelessness, theft, and petty crime. What legacy are you forging? This attitude toward substance proliferation endangers us all and this community. Second, Into the Weeds is activist driven. Pushing to shatter caps on stores in small towns, cannabis has been legal for nearly a decade. We can grow, gift, and access it freely. Activism is obsolete. Yet this council has fallen for a self-serving pitch from outsiders, prioritizing their market grab over our safety. Your duty is to this community, not external opportunists. Third, a simple Google search into the Weeds would have shown that they've racked up over $6,000 in SLGA fines for selling to minors via the SLGA Secret Shopper program. A stark indicator of compliance failures. Is this the partner you champion over local voices? Fourth, Nipawin already boasts 2 large dispensaries offering urban-level products. A third means 1 store per 1,433 people. Insane market saturation. Scaled to larger cities, that equates to nearly 200 stores in Saskatoon and 27 in Prince Albert. Yet again, I remind this council that PA, prioritizing safety, capped at 3. And they also expanded the very same distance requirements that this council removed to 500 meters. Why? Because they live in reality and not denial. We once mocked reefer madness fears. Now the true madness is a council blind to any risk at all. A quote from the January 8th meeting to amend and remove the safety guardrails. It's on parents to educate their kids. This issue is not about cannabis education. And to suggest so is a diversion from the issues at hand. This approval threatens property values, resale potential, rental viability, along with the broader stability of Nipawin's business community by oversaturating our small market, where 2 established cannabis stores have already invested heavily. You're dividing demand, risking closures or bankruptcies for local entrepreneurs, and harming employees, landlords, tax base, and downtown's vitality. Your duty isn't just to welcome new businesses, it is to protect our community's long-term health. Discretionary approvals exist to prevent these exact measurable harms to the surrounding properties and the ecosystem that we have built. Councillor Jeff Stewart, your January 12th remark, "We don't pick winners or losers," drips with irony. That's precisely what you did. Elevating outside interests over established locals, gutting child and family protections for into the weeds to prevail while Nipawin loses. I address you directly for your dismissive demeanor, belittling our successful local business as a yoga studio, while your statement that area was not a health and wellness corridor until the yoga studio moved in addition to interrupting Joyce. With Joyce, we all know how you feel. She was the sole voice of reason here, and she has our support. Jeff, you've repeatedly misrepresented our business, claiming it opened just 3 months ago. We've served Nipawin since late 2024. If you can't identify the business next door, how can you claim no negative effects? In canvassing door to door, I encountered this community's heart. A 98-year-old gentleman declined your recklessness. Young families introducing me to their children whom you have fundamentally failed. Lifelong residents and newcomers like us who've invested here only to lose faith in your leadership. Nipawin faces challenges that no 7-person council can fully solve, but voters did not elect you to exacerbate them. You've disregarded our future, business owners, families, public health, policing strains, and worst of all, our children. Please understand that this community is disgusted that this council chose cannabis over children. You are all adults. You should not need to be told that this was too close to a daycare. We deserve to know who benefits from this. At a minimum, if dead set on this store, why not enforce the same standards as the existing 2? No compromise, just immediate bylaw excision. What made that building so essential that it warranted ignoring public safety and worse, the removal of guardrails? Guardrails that nearly every single community in the country has kept in place or expanded. I've heard from some of you, we can't do anything now. That's a falsehood. Rather, you won't. You hold the power to overturn for any reason, though accountability may incur costs. Sometimes rectifying wrongs demands consequences. Shame on those of you who amended the bylaw, voted yes, or failed to research and inform. You have failed, Nipawin. This town now tests your dignity. Will you admit error, hold a revote for rezoning or nullification, and restore those safety guardrails that we assumed protected this community? In summary, this community will not cease fighting for Nipawin, its children, future, and local business. You may have lost sight of what's fundamental here, but we have not. I formally request a written response to this delegation from one or all of council members. Thank you.
Great. Does anybody from council have any questions or clarification?
We can't discuss it.
Yeah,
Can't discuss it.
Hmm?
You can't discuss it.
we're not discussing it, but
They can ask for
you
clarification.
can ask for clarification if there's anything that you're not unclear of. But if not, that's good. All right, well, that closes our visit this evening, and we thank you for your words. Oh, and Michelle, do you want to read the letter?
I can read it, yep. It is, dear Mayor and council members, I write on behalf of the Northern Pilates Lounge Family Pilates Studio, a family-oriented business located immediately adjacent to the proposed site at 348 First Street, to formally oppose the approval of the discretionary use permit for the cannabis retail store known as Into the Weeds at this specific location. As tenants leasing from property owners in North Battleford, we were informed of this decision only after it had been made. We have operated our studio for just 1 year, fostering a safe, health-focused environment for families and individuals in our community. We fully support the safe and legal implementation of cannabis retail within small communities like Nipawin and do not seek to prevent the establishment of this store entirely. Rather, our objection is targeted at the chosen location, and we propose a compromise through reconsideration and potential relocation to a more suitable area consistent with historical zoning practices. Second, historical zoning decisions in Nipawin have consistently directed alcohol and cannabis establishments away from family-centric zones to mitigate associated risks. This precedent was evidently overlooked in the present case, resulting in a placement that deviates from prior practices and threatens to degrade the character of the area. Nipawin, a small community, is already adequately served by its existing cannabis outlets, Red's Cannabis and Five Buds Cannabis. Approving this store at 348 First Street prioritizes out-of-town operators over local entrepreneurs, signaling that public health, safety, and economic vitality are secondary considerations. A relocation to an area aligned with existing cannabis and alcohol stores would address these concerns while allowing the business to proceed. Excuse me. Our concerns are grounded in empirical evidence of impacts from similar establishments. Since Five Buds Cannabis opened less than a year ago, the area has experienced 3 attempted break-ins, 2 incidents of vandalism requiring window replacements at both the dispensary and the adjacent office of MP Randy Hoback, cost borne by the victims, not the store, and numerous, my apologies. Similarly, Red's Cannabis has faced multiple break-in attempts this year, resulting in damage to the building and surrounding properties. These incidents, which were apparently ignored or overlooked in the decision-making process, illustrate heightened security risks, including excessive loitering, litter accumulation, and unwanted traffic, such as minors soliciting alcohol, adults for purchases, booting, or individuals vaping and smoking while lingering. The Saskatchewan Liquor and Gaming Authority mandates stringent security measures for cannabis retailers precisely to address these issues. Yet the externalities extend to neighboring businesses, imposing undue burdens on us to implement additional safeguards at our expense. As a nascent enterprise, we cannot afford the associated downtime or repair costs from potential vandalism or disruptions. This opposition is not to cannabis retail per se, but to the blatant lack of regard for its ramifications on adjacent operations and the deviation from zoning norms that cluster such stores away from family areas. The resultant unwelcome atmosphere, marked by increased intoxication and illicit activities, will invariably harm our studio's clientele and the town's overall fabric. Additional concerns: client safety, business viability, and community impact. Our clients who seek our services primarily for health and wellness benefits have expressed significant apprehension regarding their personal safety while patronizing our business in light of this proposed development. As a studio dedicated to mindful movement and pain reduction, we attract individuals, predominantly women from the area, aiming to enhance their physical and mental well-being in a secure, supportive setting. The introduction of a cannabis store immediately adjacent would introduce an element of unpredictability, potentially fostering an environment of loitering and heightened security risks that directly contradicts the serene, family-friendly atmosphere our patients expect and deserve. This situation has compelled us to seriously contemplate relocating, a prospect that renders our business unviable in its infancy, given the substantial investments already made and the lack of comparable space in Nipawin. Moreover, this decision appears to favor an untested and arguably unneeded additional cannabis outlet over the town's singular Pilates studio, which serves as the only such facility within a 150-kilometer radius. Our studio has achieved notable success in its first year, positively impacting the community through charity initiatives and providing essential wellness services tailored to local women, filling a critical gap in regional health offerings. In contrast, cannabis establishments in Nipawin have been associated with increased RCMP interventions, including break-ins and disturbances, contributing to broader strains on local policing resources. Saskatchewan RCMP jurisdiction has seen a 45% rise in calls for service over the past decade amid severe staffing shortages. Example, up to 55.9% vacancies in some areas, exasperating response times and community safety concerns. By extending such businesses into sensitive family comfortable zones, the town's decision neglects the community's right to safety and overlooks a disproportionate burden on already stressed policing infrastructure. In response, a group of concerned citizens has initiated a petition to re-examine this zoning decision, garnering support to advocate for community-aligned development. We intend to pursue an appeal before the Development Appeals Board pursuant to the Planning and Development Act 2007, seeking a thorough reconsideration of the permit with a focus on alternative locations. We respectfully urge Council to reconsider the location of this approval, directing it to an area consistent with historical placements of similar businesses as a reasonable compromise that balances economic growth with community well-being. We are available to discuss this matter further and provide additional documentation as needed. Thank you for your attention to this pressing matter.
Okay, well, that concludes our time tonight. We thank you all for coming in and invite you all to stay for the rest of the meeting. And we'll carry on from there.
Hi, sorry. I'm Zanika from Village Heavers. I'm the owner and director.
Sorry, ma'am, there was one designated person to speak tonight, unfortunately, so
I just want to.
that's fine. We can't take any more. I'm sorry.
At the public portion, you can
Yes.
address your questions.
That's what I wanted to
That's
ask.
And that was very rude to interrupt the question. Sorry, that's my personal opinion.
Well, I'm
Sorry.
So it was very rude interrupting a question. So it's
Only one speaker for the delegation, and during the public forum, they can help their.
Yeah, I apologize for interrupting, but that's the procedure. Like they said, you can stay for the public portion afterwards. But this presentation is allotted to one person.
I understand that, but she was just asking the question,
there's another.
when can she speak? That's all she was
My
doing.
apologies, my apologies. Okay, thank you, everybody.
That the financial statements for the period ending December 31st, 2025 be approved as presented. Councillor Vic. Maria, anything standing out there today?
Just to note that these are not obviously final documents. There's still lots of adjustments that will go through for year end, and this will likely change somewhat before it goes to audit. So just keep that in mind.
Okay. Any questions or comments on the statements? All those in favor? It's carried. That the financial reports for January 26, 2026 be approved as presented. Councilor Blair. And Maria, anything standing out here?
Nope, just regular payments that have been made and waiting to be sent out.
All right, any questions or comments on the reports? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. All right, that the 2026 municipal budget be approved as presented. Councilor Blair. Okay, it is on the table. have any questions or comments? Anything from administration? I think you guys redid the,
I have nothing more to add. This is what was brought forward in our December meeting, and there's been discussions in our previous meetings relating to that. I guess the only thing that would go forward is if we were talking about the actual rate for the levy, that would be discussed at tax time with tax tools and different opportunities and options that we have in front of us at that time.
okay, go ahead, Joyce.
This budget actually shows an 8.5% increase in tax. That's how you would get the revenue from the previous year to this year. So I just wanted to make that transparent that that's what it is. How that 8.5% is going to be paid, it will be determined at a later date through tax tools and levies.
Jeff?
I was gonna mention the same thing. It's also, part of this is, it's because we have some of the gallery here today. We have aging infrastructure and increased costs on that aging infrastructure, namely the arenas, the Evergreen Center, to a lesser extent, the pool. That's, there is gonna be some major repairs gonna be needed to all these. Those repairs years ago were less, well, they weren't needed years ago, but now those same things are costing a massive amount more. So what this is, they're saying a dedicated recreation and facility tax, and that's what Joyce was trying to get at, right? It could be a levy, it could be a lot of different things. We haven't figured out how it's gonna be, but it'll be approximately an extra $100 per household. That's right,
For the levy.
for the levy. If it's a levy, or it's gonna be on the base tax or something, right? So needless to say, it's unfortunate, because it's a very high percent, but in these places, it's either that or we unfortunately have to kick the can down the road. And then we delay doing infrastructure repairs. And then we risk, well, not just losing our infrastructure, but also increased costs. It's just gonna get worse, just with
It's
this.
not getting cheaper.
Nothing's getting any cheaper, be it from machinery or from anything, right? So I think we can argue that although this is high, this is definitely needed. And with this, at least 5 of that 8.5% will go into some degree of dedicated recreation or facility, so we can make sure that our facilities will be maintained and built up, because some of them are dating back to 67, so in the 80s, and actually the newest thing we have is the pool. So I just think it's because we had such a good crowd here today that it's important that they understand where council is on that.
And we are also going to probably look at some fund accounting to ensure that $100 levy is used for what it should be and not allocated to other things that might come along that are deemed important at that point in time. So we need to do some homework on that side of it as well to ensure that happens. It's no different than the $40 that is paid on your water bill. It goes for utilities infrastructure, and it will be the same earmark for the leisure services.
And infrastructure,
Infrastructure.
yeah, infrastructure.
Well, it's leisure services infrastructure.
Yeah, very important. Yeah, it's not going to pay wages. It's
No.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? I think this still represents almost our earliest budget ever, so.
Yeah.
We're on the right
Yeah,
track.
there's one I've
This is a
seen.
goal we had, so. All right, if there's no others, all those in favor? That's carried. That the reports of senior administrative officials recorded as items 9.1 to 9.2.5 be received and filed. Councillor Stewart. All those in favor? That's carried. That the department monthly reports be received and filed. Councillor Vic. And with that, we'll start with the 2025 Water Quality Consumer Report. Guess Jamie, you'll speak to that?
Yeah, so this is, a yearly report that we do for all our consumers here in the town of Nipawin. It gets sent to the Water Security Agency, and it also gets posted in the, town office at the water treatment plant and on the website. And it's just an annual report we do yearly.
Perfect, thank you, Jamie. Are there any questions or comments? Just shows how good the water is. Okay, moving on is the Community Services Department monthly report, and Derek.
I don't really have anything to add other than the Apple has approved the app and it's being developed internally as we speak. Well, not as we speak, but tomorrow morning.
That's exciting.
Yeah, good job.
Is there any questions or comments for Derek?
Is this another complete rebuild of the app, or can we use what was done before? Cause we had,
It can still be, yeah, it's still used, but now it's putting the information that we
okay,
want to put on it and what itself is needed, so there will be feedback questions and stuff coming.
okay, sure. Thank you.
Anything else? One thing I just want to point out, and I know it was highlighted in the report, but this is our highest year of permit values for 2025, going all the way back to 2018. It's a good year for development in Nipawin. We're on the right track. So that was something I saw that I was interested in. So, thank you, Derek. Next is the fire department annual report. Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, I spared you guys last meeting, waiting to try and get this all done. So I am quite happy to present this to council. So I'll just dive right on into it. So as I think you all know, 2025 was a record-breaking year for the fire department. We responded to 260 calls. Our previous record was 208, going back to 2015. And that was due primarily to a one-day event. It was too much mercaptan was added to the line by a gas company, which I won't name, but it was 40, I can't recall off the top of my head, 48 calls that day, 47 for gas, odors, and one MBC there, so there was one legit call. So pretty staggering. Obviously, some of the big numbers that are in there, as usual, false alarms are that one area we try our best to try and mitigate as much as we can. We did see an increase over last year. However, we saw a decrease, and a sizable decrease, in the percentage of false alarms to our total. So I consider that to be a victory. And we also saw a decrease, even though the numbers were higher for false alarms, we did see a decrease in total man hours. So again, it's another one of those things that I consider that to be a small victory. I'll take them when I can get them. One of the other things, I'm not entirely sure what the catalyst is here. We saw a huge explosion, for lack of a better word, by 96% in our MDCs for the year. So almost doubled. We're one shy of doubling. And again, there was no rhyme or reason. There was no big increase on weekends. There was no real big increase on long weekends or times or anything. We just saw increases all the way across the board. So this did see a huge influx in our revenue streams, almost $100,000 to our SGI budget. So we do credit that to one of the bylaw revisions we made. That would have been a year and a half ago, that we could charge for in-town calls. So previous to that, anything that happened in town, we could not submit an SGI form. It was just considered a wash. By amending our bylaw, we were able to capitalize on sending a bill into SGI and be able to recoup some of the losses, our costs, instead of just taking it as a straight loss. Hazmat calls, we saw again some more confirmed carbon monoxide events. We try and mitigate those as much as we can by having the deputy chief, myself, or the officer in charge responding initially, getting reads, and then deciding if it's going to be a false alarm or if it's an actual event. We did have some actual events where we had to do some either passive ventilation, simply opening doors and windows, or actually having to bring in fans and venting. So again, a big push for people to know that those carbon monoxide detectors, they do make a big difference. So other than that, everything obviously saw an increase. I do want to point out that May was our busiest month with 36 calls. Obviously, that was the start of the large forest fires. However, we only had 3 of those forest fires were in May. They spilled over into June. So again, it's just an increase in calls all over the place. I would be remiss if I didn't point out the fact that once again, we did have an absolutely staggering number of sharps pickups again. You all know me, I'm a pretty thorough guy, so I counted as many as I could. So I ended up with a shocking tally of 6,260 that we removed from the community. Those were some big events, thousands that were in a vehicle that was abandoned at one of our facilities, one at a nuisance residence here in town, and a structure fire. Sadly, when we went in, we found a bunch of these needles inside during one of our sweeps. So on the good news, we did hand out a lot of long service awards, which I have posted on Facebook. It's been in some of our local news things. And our protective services 5-year strategic plan, my department strategic plan, just to make sure that's clear. We did get a new command truck last year, put it into service. We did get some children's-sized turnout gear for our public education events to be able to put the kids in something that hasn't been exposed to carcinogenic material. We did get our rope rescue training continuing on to get our guys trained up at a high angle. We did get our new SCBA cylinders, as we had others that were expiring. And we did get the demolition of the old fire hall. We got her in right at the wire, December 31st. We didn't mess around. So yeah, that in a nutshell is kind of what we've got here. I do want to stress as well, I do provide my monthly reports and I like to give council our comparable numbers. And I did put a note in here just to make sure everybody realizes when I'm comparing departments, I'm not saying that we're doing something better or something worse than another department. I'm just simply showing what's going on in the other communities. I certainly am not, comparing myself and saying I'm so much better than these guys or whatever, right? I just wanted to provide a snapshot that we all face the same sort of challenges. And I guess, and last but not least, Mr. Mayor, I did say that I had something that I didn't want to drop. And look, there's a delegation here, so you guys get to see this too. I did manage to get our Premier's Award all framed up,
Nice.
and I wanted council to be able to see it. So I'll show it to the thousands of viewers on the camera right now, I'm sure, as well as the millions of people here in the delegation. That's it.
Thank you, Paul. Do we have any questions or comments on the annual report? It's pretty comprehensive. It's one of those records you don't want to have beaten. Unfortunately, we're on our way this year already. Next is the annual call volume, or did you kind of cover this?
It's there for your perusal.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments on the call volume? I think Paul did a good job of covering that, so. Okay. If there's no questions or comments, all those in favor? That's carried. That council hereby agrees to enter into an agreement with Kendall Wilson for the community investment incentive as recommended by the land planner. And that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the agreement. And that $16,000 be transferred from reserve account 310-100-803 utility profit on land sales to fund the incentive. Councillor Vic. And Jeff, do you speak to this?
Certainly. So Mr. Wilson purchased 304 Coventry Crescent and started building a house on it. He is at the stage where he could apply for the community investment incentive, and he did. With that incentive, people who build in Coventry Crescent would be eligible to get up to $16,000 as a one-time payment once they reach the closing stage, as per the policy. This will be the first time we have somebody apply and is eligible for the incentive. So he's applied for that. He is close to being at the stage where he could receive the money. And so we wanted to put the agreement in front of council for hopefully approval.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. Are there any questions or comments? Jeff?
Just a comment, that's 16,000 is in lieu of tax, benefits later on,
That is correct. Yeah. They'll start paying right away.
right away.
And like you said, this is the first one. We just put this policy into place and it's coming into use, so that's good. That's what we wanted. Okay, no other questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. I get to do some reading now, guys. I'll apologize in advance if I pronounce anybody's names incorrectly on these. That pursuant to subsection 221 of the Municipalities Act, the town of Nipawin appoints Western Municipal Consulting Limited to manage the Board of Revision process for the term of January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2026. Remuneration as set out in Western Municipal Consulting Limited fee schedule, with the following to serve as members of the Board of Revision: Dave Guernsey, Dave Thompson, Donna Ray Zaborny, Gordon Parkinson, Jeff Hutton, Kevin Kleckner, Mike Woschuk, Stu Demons, Wayne Adams, Ken Friesen, Femi Ogunrind, Fife Ogundy, Maureen Jickling, Jamie Thiessen, John Krill, Christopher Blumen, Alan Sawatsky, Mike Malika, Haney Emin, Kimberly Spears, Nick Koroluik, Farah Ovens, J.D. Major, Jordan Boys, Kenneth Tan, Tyler Shandro, Regan Rayner, and Rick Lay. And that the chair shall be responsible for naming no fewer than 3 members for the hearing of any matter. Where the chair does not include themselves among the appointees, the members appointed for a hearing shall determine the chair of that hearing from among their numbers. Councilor Blair. This is just an annual thing we do, so. Any questions or comments from council? All those in favor? It's carried. Couple more. That pursuant to subsection 221(1) of the Municipalities Act, the town of Nipawin appoints Nicole Hoskins with Western Municipal Consulting Limited as secretary to the Board of Revision for the term January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. Remuneration as set out in Western Municipal Consulting Limited fee schedule. If the secretary is unable to perform secretarial functions for reasons which may include scheduling difficulties, WMC may appoint a delegate to perform administrative functions and may appoint a recording secretary for the purposes of any hearing. Councillor Fast. All those in favor? That's carried. And again, that pursuant to subsection 214(1) of the Planning and Development Act 2007, the town of Nipawin appoints Western Municipal Consulting Limited to manage the Development Appeals Board process for the term January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. Remuneration as set out in Western Municipal Consulting Limited fee schedule, with the following to serve as members of the Development Appeals Board: Dave Guernsey, Dave Thompson, Donna Ray Zaborny, Gordon Parkinson, Jeff Hutton, Kevin Kleckner, Mike Woschuk, Stu Demons, Wayne Adams, Ken Friesen, Femi Ogundrind, Fife Ogundy, Maureen Jickling, Jamie Teeson, Stu Hayward, Pam Malik, Barry Clark, John Krill, Christopher Blumen, Alan Sawatsky, Mike Malika, Hanny Amin, Kimberly Spears, Nick Koroliuk, Farah Opens, J.D. Major, Jordan Boys, Kenneth Tan, Tyler Shandro, Regan Rayner, and Rick Lay. And that the chair shall be responsible for naming no fewer than 3 members for the hearing of any matter. Where the chair does not include themselves among the appointees, the members appointed for a hearing shall determine the chair of that hearing from among their numbers. Councillor Blair. All those in favor? That's carried. That pursuant to subsection 216(3)(a) of the Planning and Development Act 2007, the town of Nipawin appoints Claudette McGuire with Western Municipal Consulting Limited as secretary to the Development Appeals Board for the term January 1, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. Remuneration as set out in the Western Municipal Consulting Limited fee schedule. If the secretary is unable to perform secretarial functions for reasons which may include scheduling difficulties, WMC may appoint a delegate to perform administrative functions and may appoint a recording secretary for the purposes of any hearing. Councillor Newdorf. All those in favor? That is carried. That the reports of committees and boards recorded as item 11.1 be received and filed. Councillor Stewart. Any questions on the museum minutes? All those in favor? That's carried. That communications recorded as items 12.1 to 12.3 be received and filed. Councillor Newdorf. Any questions or comments on those communications? Joyce?
Well, I was just reading the Nipawin United Church, and it looks like they have a few things that are going on. I was surprised to see that during the winter months, some spend the night at Oasis, but must leave 7 a.m. in the morning, and Oasis is not open on weekends. I was under the understanding that they were 20 every day on cold days.
That's what I understood as well.
It just surprised me. I don't know if it's.
Yeah. I would have to reach out to the Oasis to know for sure what they're doing directly to them. So. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Okay, on to new business. This is something pretty exciting. That council hereby agrees to name the white-tailed deer as the town of Nipawin's official animal for 2026, as recommended by the Central Park School Grade 2 class. Councillor Blair. I'm just going to speak to this a little bit. So earlier today, the grade 2 class from Central Park came and spent about half an hour here in chambers with me. They asked me various questions. They're learning about government in their social studies class. So after all the questions were done, I thought it would be neat to have them help out with something at the town. And this was what I was able to come up with on short notice. And the vote was between walleye, elk, and the white-tailed deer. And so with a vote of 7, the white-tailed deer did win. And I just want to turn, and if you guys could all take a moment and just wave, they're gonna be watching this tomorrow during their social studies class. So I thought this was a really cool thing to do. So, are there any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor? Thank you so much to the grade 2 class from Central Park. All right, moving on to the round table. And today, why don't we start with Lisa?
Sure. I don't have anything. I was out of the country for work, so I don't have anything further to add this evening, but I do want to thank the residents for coming out tonight. It's great to see a delegation, and I encourage you to continue to be involved in the matters at the council table.
Thank you, Lisa. And Joyce?
Well, I think it was kind of a busy time. I attended the Twin Lakes regional meeting, and Tobin Lake is doing some planning there for new shop and different things and purchasing some land. And then also we did some interviews of some possible candidates for CEO. And we have some very good choices there, I believe. And I also would like to thank the delegation for coming. And I understand the hardships and the concerns and sometimes even though I didn't agree with it, I also have to go by the democratic vote. So that is important to me as well. And I can see there could be some other areas of, better communication, because I did notice that the utilities bylaw change was on Facebook, but I did not see this one on Facebook. So some consistencies maybe should be looked at to get better at it, so we don't have these kind of things happen in the future.
Thank you, Joyce. Jeff?
Welcome to everybody. Didn't make the Twin Lakes. Joyce was kind enough to let me go watch my son's hockey game. The interviews went really well for the two CAOs that we may or may not hire. So I'm excited to see where we're going to go for that. And other than that, that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Jeff. So as you heard from a couple here, I did participate in our interview process with a couple of qualified candidates. We'll see what the future brings there. On January 20th, I attended a virtual SUMA summit where they talked about empowering boundaries. It was a presentation by Ashley Breland, and it was about a 45-minute presentation where it really talked about separating work from your personal life when you're on council and in administration. Sometimes it's hard to say no at the end of the day when we're contacted at 10 o'clock by members of the community or things like that with complaints. So it's something that we all need to consider to be able to separate our personal and professional lives. They talked about the regional tour 2026. It will be held in June. I believe we got the forums here where we could apply to host. There's a summer school being held in August if you're looking to do some extra learning. So an update on their advocacy. They tried to get subclasses brought in for towns and villages. Unfortunately, that was not successful. They also tried to change the newspaper advertising to provide some more modern options for advertising, and that was not changed either. The derelict buildings, they're talking about having permits issued for dry landfill options. There's still no funding assistance as well, but that remains a high priority. I know they did just have a meeting with the new minister last week on that, the Minister of Environment. They talked about their CETA partnership, the recycling program, and then that at the end of it, it finished off with a governance refresher. So just talking about how we need to, as a council, be clear when we set direction for administration. We talked about governance framework and the council procedure bylaw and code of ethics and code of conduct bylaws. We discussed HR stewardship, and financial stewardship. And on the finance side, it did talk about, because many people that get involved in council don't have direct training with finances. So they said a lot of communities are getting special training to help new councils understand finances a little bit better. Then we talked about counseling as a team of governors and knowing what strengths and weaknesses we as members of council bring to the table. And then, as I mentioned earlier today, I had the Central Park Grade 2 class come in. And that's what I did. It was a little bit quiet. Stacy.
Well, I'd like to welcome and thank you for coming out as well. And I took part in the interview process with 2 CEOs, which is very good. And short of that, that's all I have for the round table.
Thank you. And Les?
Yes, and it was quiet for me over the last couple of weeks. We did do some training, or not training, but sessions with the new CAOs. Looking forward to see how that turns out. And thanks to the delegation for coming tonight and hanging out. And I do apologize once again, jumping at the gun there, but I apologize for that. And that's it for me.
Thank you. And Kylie.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. It's nice to hear from the public. I wasn't at the last meeting because I was in Mexico getting married. But I agree with what Joyce said. I think public engagement is really important, and we really need to make sure that we're giving everybody all opportunities to be engaged with these decisions as well. But we have to, like she said, the decision was made and we weren't here for it, but it's tough. It's very, very tough.
Thank you, Kylie. And with the interest of public engagement, we now have our public forum. So I didn't say it at the time, I will say it now. Welcome everybody for coming. This is the time where we allow anybody in the gallery to speak for up to 5 minutes on any item on the agenda. Just a clerical thing for myself, because I do have to declare conflict if anybody wants to speak on the previous topic. If there's anybody speaking about anything else first. Okay, will there be people speaking on the pot shop? Okay, so I will excuse myself and we'll see you all again.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, sorry. That was your time, yeah. Thanks, Stacey.
Good evening, I'm Zanika Whitcomb from Little Achievers Preschool. I just want to bring something towards you guys and I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I am here to formally express my concerns regarding the proposed cannabis store opening near my business, which is a licensed child care facility, and to outline the challenges we are already facing that I believe will be significantly worsened if this store proceeds. Firstly, I would like to express my disappointment as a local business owner and taxpayer in how I learned about this development. As someone who operates a child care facility and contributes to this community, I believe businesses directly impacted by such decisions should be consulted before approvals are made, especially when children's safety is involved. I would like to begin by outlining the issues we are already experiencing, many of which are drug and alcohol related. Our preschool playground is broken into regularly. Play equipment has been vandalized and damaged. Last summer alone, I had to replace my back fence due to people climbing over my fence to access my facility. We constantly find broken alcoholic bottles in front of our building, in our playground, and behind the facility. On multiple occasions, we have found used needles and used condoms in our property, areas where children play daily. Despite installing security cameras, these incidents still continue. The presence of cameras has unfortunately had little to no deterrent effect. Our playground has increasingly become a gathering spot for cannabis and drug users. Opening yet another cannabis store within close proximity will, in my view, further encourage this behavior and increase the risk to the children in our care. During business hours, we regularly witness intoxicated individuals walking past our facility, attempting to enter my building. Looking through my windows, this has led to conversation with children who ask me and my educators, "Teacher, what is wrong with that person? Are they sick?" We've had multiple incidents of people attempting to enter through our side gate during operating hours, business hours. In full view of our large windows, individuals have been seen searching through the snow directly outside our building for drugs. This is not only distressing, but completely unacceptable near a childcare facility. We also had an incident of someone trying to break into a parent's vehicle while he was picking up his child at 4:30 in the afternoon. As a hard-working local, it breaks my heart to see what our community has become and to know that our youngest residents are being exposed to this environment daily. My second major concern is parking, which I feel was not adequately assessed. When my child care facility operated in the building next door to the former embroidery shop for several years, parking was already a significant issue between neighboring businesses. Parents were often forced to pick up children in the back alley due to the lack of available parking. After relocating, parking continues to be a serious problem, particularly during leisure events. During these times, parking is often unavailable all the way from the stop sign down to the chiropractor's office, once again leaving parents without safe or accessible options for pickup and drop-offs. We're also aware of another business potentially opening up next to Little Achievers, combined with additional cannabis store. This will most certainly worsen parking congestion and result in overflow parking at the Family Resource Center, impacting multiple services. I would like to ask the council whether a community needs assessment was conducted for this cannabis store. Childcare facilities are required to complete a community assessment to determine necessity and impact before opening. I believe it's only fair that the same level of consideration to be given to the businesses directly affected public safety, family-oriented services. The residents and business owners of Nipawin should have a voice in decisions that directly impact their livelihoods and the well-being of children. We are repeatedly encouraged to support local. Yet, in this situation, local businesses, especially those serving children, were not consulted. This cannabis store is not locally owned, yet it has been prioritized over an established local childcare business that serves Nipawin families and help raise the next generation of our community for the last 13 years.
Finish up if you're done.
Okay. I strongly urge the council to reconsider this decision to conduct a thorough assessment and to meaningfully consult affected businesses and residents before moving on. And I also would like to state, I did not appreciate being silenced, and this is a clear example of what is happening. We are not being heard. We are just being listened to, and we're just being silenced. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
I just got a question. Why was the bylaw changed?
Why was the bylaw
When
changed?
bylaw changed, it came as a request, as is typical for most of our zoning bylaw amendments. When there's a request to amend the zoning bylaw, then that request is brought forward to council. And council considers the request and they will either make the change or they won't make the change. But that's how many of our zoning bylaw amendments are are made. They come by request.
Just so we're clear, it's the cannabis store that requested it, not anyone in town. It was the Into the Weeds that requested the bylaw change.
Quite
Just
often.
so we're all clear. Yeah, okay.
Sir, could I get your name, please?
Matthew.
Matthew?
Welcome.
No, that wasn't the reason for this bylaw amendment.
Well,
And to be clear, the bylaw amendment did not change the distance from the Little Achievers. That was not the bylaw amendment that was changed. That distance has always, since 2018, has been 50 meters from the cannabis store. That was not what was amended.
so what was amended?
Was to remove community centers and commercial recreation uses from that
Like our business,
prohibited.
like our business, as a recreation center and a family community center.
The other.
Yeah.
um,
Okay, thank you for
I
that.
have a
The-
question though.
Hold on, I'll, go on to the bylaw. The other two cannabis centers are actually in violation of the bylaw as it was written. Because they are within 50 meters of the dance studio and other things, so
If we had changed it to 100 meters, they would have been in violation.
it would have been in violation. with
They're the
on
same
second.
distance from the
They're not
current,
50 meters.
the current stores downtown are the same distance from the daycare downtown as this one would be from Little Achievers.
So yeah, how far is the current ones from the current, the daycare downtown near?
Jeff, I believe it's right around 100 meters, correct? Yeah, so if we had changed the distance to 100 meters as was discussed, then it would have put those ones in violation.
That's what was discussed in those meetings.
Right, but we did not change any distance
Nope.
requirements.
So the Legion being there, which actually serves alcohol, would be considered a community center.
That's right.
Christine Lee, I have two questions if I can. What is the benefit of a third cannabis store in Nipawin?
Council, yes.
Another business opening up and potentially paying taxes. It's not council's, job to dictate what businesses come to town.
But you also guys had a discretionary option to
Which-
say no, so that actually is
Yeah.
your guys' decision
Yeah.
to say yes or no.
100%. That was the point of that.
That's the whole point of a discretionary decision.
They're
So
up-
would you
they're
like to re-answer
absolutely
that
right.
question? I'm not done my other question.
I don't have an answer right now for you,
That's
but-
unfortunate.
but we can get you an answer.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
My second question is, my business has been here for over a year. I service pre and postnatal mothers who bring their babies and their toddlers to class. I have clients who come from all over this area, from PA, from Saskatoon, from Vancouver. And that is bringing not only awareness to Nipawin, but it's also bringing money into this town. So my business, which is directly beside it, which clearly a lot of you have no idea even existed, which is really disheartening. It's really disheartening. Because as a business who is bettering this community, who has heard from many people that they are so happy that something like this decided to come to this town, I'm bringing people into this town. What is Into the Weeds and a cannabis store going to do for this town specifically? Besides paying taxes
If we don't already.
that we already don't pay as business owners, as homeowners. So how is that a benefit?
Maybe
What
it's,
are they going to bring into this town?
so maybe I'll explain council's position when this decision was made, right? And where we were when we made the decision, right? Without a motion, and then you guys can either listen to it or not. This is it, right? We've never supported anything with not in my backyard syndromes in this town. And that has caused hurt to this town in the past with different types of things. So when we look at different things, we look at the bylaw, and then the bylaw stated that it would be able to be a fit into that area. That's about as extent that it would go to for a council. So,
Amended the.
yeah, well, you're gonna let me finish, okay? Then you guys can talk. No, it's not a conversation. I said I would give you where council was, and then you can comment. How's that sound? Does that sound fair? Okay, because I didn't interrupt you. So there we are. So didn't meet the bylaws, yes, right? And another thing, when you're talking about giving speeches and some advice, right? Since you are so coarse to point me out,
Actually,
absolutely.
for your advice, Jeff.
Well, you did point me out in your little speech there, so I thought
Actually, said
I'd
you were
be,
giving us an answer, but you're
Yeah.
giving us a motion and opinion.
well,
So would you like
continue
to
with the
back
point,
up what
actually.
you're
Here
actually
is-
pointed?
interrupting me again, right? Over here. So absolutes like saying that the cannabis store at this place is gonna create all these bad things that are gonna happen to children. Cannabis legalization in general would have created that. That was a statement that you made, so it's not necessarily saying that this particular store is going to do that, right? You've also mentioned that we don't need 3. Who says that they're all 3 are gonna survive, right? Are we to be able to choose which people markedly stand in here? Because we could stand here, what could come to town? A hotel could come to town. And we could have hotel owners in here saying, we don't want that. Or a restaurant could come to town and the same thing, right? So we can't choose winners or losers, hence my statement on that, because we let the free market choose that. That's where that statement comes from, right? What else did I have in here?
Directly to that statement, would you allow a Walmart in town then?
If they came and they passed everything, yes.
Do you
Right.
realize that that destroys home values, local business, small business, entrepreneurship in every single community that it happens to?
There are communities where they've done very well and integrated into those communities, even small Walmarts. Actually, I grew up in a place where the smallest Walmart is. So, but I haven't, as far as I know, there hasn't been the choice that Walmart's coming to town, so.
That's not the point, Jeff.
But that is, the reality is if they passed everything, why would we stand in the way, right? Do you want this council to stand in the way of economic development?
You're conflating this into issues. that
Well,
are
you
not-
conflated it into issues that was
No, no,
more
we're not
around that
talking
we're gonna
about
attack your children, that
every
this is gonna
business.
happen.
We're
No.
talking about your distraction.
Okay, one at a time, just one at a time. It's,
So that is why the bylaw was changed,
You
right?
didn't actually answer the
Yes,
question
that was,
clearly,
no, you
actually.
did not answer.
I
that.
didn't add,
No,
I
you
was just
didn't answer
stating,
Clearly at all. Could you please reiterate, please?
I didn't say I was gonna answer your question. I'm saying this is where council was when we
Was
were
that
making
not
that
you answering
decision.
my question? You didn't answer it clearly. Can you please restate it in a way that is clear without everything else that you just involved in it?
That is my statement.
Would you please repeat it?
No,
Why?
because I've already been over it, right? We've already been over the
As a
NIMBYism, not in my
community member, I would
backyard.
appreciate
We've
it
been,
if
already
you
been
please
over the
repeat your
bylaw.
Statement.
We've already been over, and you can't force me to. And we've already been over how we came to the decision. We actually had a public forum, things were sent out. I'm sorry you guys didn't get it, because it would have been really nice if this was done at the public forum.
And it would have been
And not
really
nice.
nice
We
if
would
we
have
were
loved to be-
notified of it properly, because we would have been here at the public
A letter
forum.
on our door, a phone call, email.
You have my email, you send us a water bill every single month.
And that is a process that we could look at, for sure,
should.
but that is a administration process, not council process.
Actually, it can be council.
Thank
I
you,
just
Joyce.
wanted to,
Thank you.
just wanted to speak a little bit. When we talk about economics, that is one part of zoning. The other part of zoning, and this is where they're talking about, is council has the discretion to whether you want a certain look to your community. And that's where council fell down, because that's the discretion. And in the past, there has been some businesses that had come forward on a discretionary way, and they were turned down, such as a campground on the main highway, 35 going south, because it wouldn't look good. It didn't fit the community. There was another time that another campground in the industrial area that was turned down. And the reason for that, it didn't fit the industrial plans. So yes, council has in the past used the discretion to their abilities and their vision.
What type of look does town want to communicate to new people who are coming in? Because the first thing you see is a cannabis shop now when you're at that four-way stop. Is that the look that town is going for? Like, what does town want? What does town council want this town to look like then? What is the future that you guys see this town being?
Well, that'll be a case by case basis.
Well, we
We
kind of
don't
need
have
to
an
know
answer
what
to
your future is, so we can all decide if we want to keep maintaining our businesses here, because this really affects our future, right? And like, we're planning on putting up another couple businesses, so you've traded one for, you know, basically the good faith of all the others.
So
I guess-
again, so back to what Joyce said, if campgrounds didn't work with the way that the community saw it, because you guys didn't like it, what does a cannabis shop then do to the community? What does that make the community look like? Is that the vision that you want for the community? Because if PA caps at 3, and we are much, much of a smaller community than PA is,
Now,
what does the council want town to look like?
And in that respect, Jeff, do you guys know better than PA Council and what they said? Because I have a direct quote from them about why they did this, if you wouldn't mind me reading it. It's very short. If we would have known how liquor would have affected our community and our province, we would have had different regulations. I don't want to fall into the same trap where we all become addicted to the revenue from alcohol. Cannabis is new, so I believe this is a chance to try and get control, so it does not end up costing the taxpayers, this city, what alcohol is. And your answer and reason was you want the tax money? Like, do you guys not look at what's going on with other councils to see maybe like if you're just in a blind spot here, which you definitely are?
and that is what the public forum was for.
Right, but no,
And
we
once
already
again, we
established
missed.
that you guys did your very,
Bare
very base
minimum when
minimum
it
to let
comes
us
to
know, and this
public-
is showing you that right now.
But with decisions made, right? This council has made that decision, but that's not to say that it can't go back and relook at.
You
That's
guys just
what
that-
we're
said
talking
put it.
about, exactly.
No,
And
no,
what
no,
you
anything can
said
be
over the
relooked
phone,
at.
that the petition
Anything
is
can be
final.
relooked at in
We've
any of
heard-
these
hang on.
things.
We've heard over the phone from a couple council members, the decision is final and won't be changed.
No, it-
Petition or not. Now, I'm just curious because I'm pretty sure there are government stipulations that at a certain number, you must respond to a petition. And at 365, I don't think we're gonna give you this petition tonight because we've got no pushback. I think we can keep going because we have 400 people in 2 weeks. Do you know how many, that's almost 10% of this town. That's more people than voted any one of you into these seats. Do you understand what that means?
So it can be revisited. But that's not a decision we can make tonight to be able to
We're not
revisit
I
it.
just
So
told you, Jeff, you need to listen. I just told you, I'm not gonna give you the petition.
I wasn't asking for your petition, right?
You
But I'm
can't make
saying-
that decision if you don't have the petition.
Sure we can. We don't need your petition to revisit anything.
Oh, okay, sorry, I missed.
We don't. Absolutely we don't.
That was my.
So if we want to revisit this, it can be revisited by council, but we can't do it tonight. It has to come to another council and it has to work through it that way. And that's something we'll have to discuss as a council if that's something we want to do. So yes, it can be changed and we can rescind any of our decisions if we decide to go that way. So that is,
Thank you for going on record.
that's the record that you can do
Public is
that.
Very
right?
happy to hear that you can in fact reverse.
Yeah, absolutely we can.
We've
So
heard many a times that it actually can't be,
So-
so we were just looking
but-
for some clarification.
no, at this moment, it is passed and going
Yes,
forward.
no,
right?
we understand it's
Yeah,
passed, we
so-
understand that
and
the
we've
scope is
mentioned
critical, but we just wanted to make sure that there was clarification that it could be revisited.
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely, it can. You can rescind any motion. You have to have appetite for it.
Yep.
And it has to get onto the agenda.
I think we've shown some pretty
And-
good public appetite.
And I would say that we should discuss it in camera
Oh, for
today
sure we will.
under strategic planning.
It's a discussion.
Michelle, I have a question.
It'll be a discussion only, but to go forward,
Can
but
I just ask one
Oh, yeah.
question?
Kylie has a question.
Oh, sorry.
Just for Michelle, in regards to notifications, it's being made seem like there wasn't the notifications. Was that not something that was discussed when this application came in, that everybody needed to be notified?
All
So how was
property
that done?
owners within a 75-meter radius were provided with the notification.
A letter in the mail
Yes, a
or
letter
an
in the
email?
mail.
A letter in the mail.
Yes.
Property owners, not
But
business.
not the renters or anybody, because there was a lot of families behind there with children that had no idea. And that failure's on you guys for not understanding that maybe some people, the children around there rent. Or that the businesses might rent.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the Municipalities Act, because
sure.
I searched it all out
But no,
for
that's why
use.
we agree with you, and that's why we
yeah,
said you guys did
yeah.
the absolute bare minimum, which shows your disregard for this town and its citizens and its business.
It was bare minimum.
It was absolute bare
In
minimum.
fact, the report that was given on this, on January 12th was, or December 8th, pardon me, of last month, was that letters would be sent out between December 18th and the 24th to all property members.
There is one that was posted that said to the neighboring area. It didn't say anything about specific property owners, it didn't say anything about specific business owners, it just said neighboring area. So then wouldn't that be under assumption that everybody who was in that area, regardless of property owner or not, would have got some sort of notice? From my
Especially
understanding.
like that's just.
Within 75 meters.
I'm right
And
beside it.
we do have a map, and it mapped out all of the properties within a 75
Right,
meter
yeah,
radius.
absolutely, but on one of the letters that you guys had put out, it said that it would be the neighboring hood area, not anything specific. So
And
again,
that was maybe semantics, the wrong words were used.
That's
and-
still-
Yeah, you're
that's-
not allowed to just
that's
get
not,
away with
how
that.
is that okay
Right,
to
that's
notify your
crazy.
community of
That's
what's
crazy.
what's happening in the town?
Go ahead, Jeff.
So now you've seen how we got to our decision. Obviously, it's unpopular, right? That there is recourse, and I think that you guys have brought enough here that at the very least, we'll have a conversation, right? And we're definitely probably gonna have a conversation as council into how people are informed when things are coming to them, right? Maybe we need to have something in there where it doesn't just go to the property owners. Maybe it needs to go to the renters as well, right? There needs to be things like that. So if we go with from there, we'll see if what the appetite is. So.
Like, just to give an example, how I found out, my husband came home from picking up our child. He was informed by another parent doing pickup at a daycare. I had to find out from another parent from another daycare. And I just want to know if that is acceptable. Because yes, I understand I'm outside of the zone, but I also feel like me be still being 90 steps away.
You're only 20 feet outside of the zone, but.
I take kids trick or treating to the embroidery, to the vacuum store, to the chiropractor. My kids walk there, so I understand I'm out of the zone. I accept it, but to find out from someone at another daycare that knew that I didn't know, and I'm the owner and the property owner.
I think you should let it go.
Okay, so
I think you should, if they have anything more to say, I think we should try to hear as much as we can. So.
yeah, obviously you got our attention. Is there anybody else that have anything else that they would like to put forward?
I have a question for you, Les.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what, I'll leave that. I'm just gonna leave that.
Sorry?
Never mind, I'll leave it.
Okay. Sorry, you go ahead, your name?
Well, I just wonder why the whole town doesn't know rather than just a few people that were it's going to be. Why isn't all of Nipawin know?
Well, that's a municipal thing, that's just the way it works. That's over and above our heads to make those calls, those decisions. It's just the municipal rules.
And that's part of what Jeff was talking about, maybe changing how
Yep.
people are notified.
Yep.
Like the water bill is probably a perfect place because that's where the newsletter goes and just about everybody gets that. So there are options out there.
Mhm.
And I did find the spot from December or November 10th, actually, that the council was going, or the administration or council was going to put something into rural routes December 18th to the 24th. And letters would also be mailed in a 75-meter radius of the building during this time. But the letters didn't go out till December 29th.
And I can say that the letters, and yes, if we missed those dates, the letters did go out within
Yes, they did.
legislation, but yes, we did miss that date for sending the letters out.
Sounds like we have to have a long conversation on this. But I can say thank you for coming out and informing your stance. It's much appreciated. Even the heat. I do appreciate that.
I invite all of you guys to come to the studio for a free class, just to see what it's like.
My wife goes all the time. She loves it.
That's amazing, I'm glad.
And you still don't know what we did?
I know exactly where it was,
It
right?
was
So
just a yoga studio and only 3 months and just.
we were following as the bylaw as we had it written. And that's as simple as I can make it.
I'm speaking to you.
You?
You have sway in this room because you have a very commanding personality, Jeff. You need to understand that when you talk that way, it sways the way people think about things, right? So the way you dismissed our business very much could have played on it. And I'll tell you why this matters. Because Les just in that same meeting mentioned that he didn't know, he was surprised and didn't know that we were next door. And you know what's weird is you had him so flustered because he did know, because he printed 7 of our signs.
All of my equipment got delivered.
All of the equipment was delivered there. You knew all about us, but you
Well,
were
I
so
know you're
flustered.
there.
Yeah, but you
I know
didn't.
you're there, but
It's on video, Les, of you saying you didn't know we were there.
But
That's,
but
Do you understand though how as business owners, the people you claim to be in the best interest of, we feel pretty unseen, unheard, uncared for in a community that we're actually trying to build the betterment of, which is what you want, is it not? Do you not want new businesses and stuff? I'm pretty sure that was the reasoning behind the cannabis store, right?
that is the exact reason behind it.
Okay, so then why not speak to the businesses that are operating safely and functioning in your town and see how this jives with the rest of them?
That's what the public forum is
Because you know,
for.
there's.
But the public
all the
forum
dispensaries
failed.
in this building right now.
the process failed.
The public forum
And
obviously
you're
failed.
admitting that?
Well, yeah, well, obviously, because you guys were here after the fact of the public forum and you're very angry about it. This would have been the exact conversations we were looking for during the public forum, which
If your
would
due
have
diligence
changed.
was done, this
Yeah,
would have been
you would
happening
have got
during
him.
the public forum.
You would have got them.
But due diligence was not done. It was a very, very big oversight on your guys' part, on the municipal part. And unfortunately, because of that oversight, the repercussions that are now gonna happen from it, is that really was it worth it? Because we knew about the electric charges when we first moved here 5 years ago. We've been here for 5 years. We knew about electric charges, but we didn't know about a business going right up beside us. That is very, very disheartening. Whether it was a liquor store, it would still be the same issue. It's still too close to a daycare, and you can call the Legion a bar, but it's the Legion.
Legion's different.
Exactly,
kids'
exactly. The
grandchildren.
Legion is completely different. So you have people on your town council who are comparing the Legion and a bar as the same
But
thing.
the Legion does serve alcohol.
Yes,
That's
it
the
does,
only
but
thing
it's
it
also
says.
not a bar.
After hours when I'm closed.
And it's non-for-profit and they're these children's grandparents.
And they're also the Legion.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that too.
I think that I'm happy that you guys came and we have a lot here to discuss. Like I said, I really wish this would have been at the public forum. It didn't, and that's, and the thing is, if we actually would have had this at the public forum, then democracy would have worked a lot better, right? But now it's after the fact and now we have to have a harder conversation. So
We're just gonna see how well.
I think we can,
work.
I think,
Yeah.
I think they said, I think we're going in circles. now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So does anybody else have any comments? Nothing further?
The record, this is my first time being a part of like this kind of a community thing, and I'm actually kind of disappointed to see the disrespect for the community members ourselves. I don't own a business, I am the manager of Five Buds, but I don't own it, so I'm just a regular community member. It'd be really nice to be exactly what they were talking about and be heard properly. This is, just out of a side note, very disappointed.
Okay, well, thanks for your comments. Could I get your name, please?
My name's Krista.
Krista? Okay, well, if nobody else has anything, I think that concludes our time for this evening.
Yep.
And thanks again for.
Thanks for coming out, bringing your opinion.
That the regular council meeting of January 26, 2026 be closed with Mayor Zacharias in the chair pursuant to section 122A of the Municipalities Act and citing exemptions contained in the Local Authority Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act under section 16, advice from officials at 8:40 PM.